Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeffery Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, with you here on a Tuesday afternoon, preparing for the More Heart Than Talent 2 for Tuesday. Welcome, everyone. It's my privilege and pleasure to be here with you. Laura Ortiz, thank you for being here, Laura. Laura, where do you live and how did you find me? If you can answer that, that would be awesome. Scott Lucas, how are you this afternoon? Kevin Bernard in Chicago. Kevin, do you remember, I've met you a few times. Remember I connected with you last October in Chicago. Hi, Carmen. Good to have you here with me on today's Facebook Live. Carmen, thank you for following me on Parler. Jay Johns, good to see you. Casey, how are you, Casey? Casey, I saw you pop on late last night. Beth Ireland, thank you for the compliment yesterday. Cassiopeia Turcotte, let's give Cassie a big high five. Cassie is gritting it out. She is an athletic director in New Hampshire. She is really standing the gap there, Cassie. Thank you for the... Cassie's also a very, very good basketball coach. Eric Picard and Cassie, graduates of the very last Breakthroughs to Success I did. 1 year ago this weekend was the last Breakthroughs to Success I have hosted. For those of you that are my coaching clients and have not attended Breakthroughs to Success, Wojo is on today. He's also a graduate of Breakthroughs to Success last year. For those of you, Kate Gracier, this would be you also. For those of you who are my coaching client and have not been able to attend a Breakthroughs to Success this year, I promise I will start hosting those just as soon as the situation passes. Marina Joy is also a graduate of Breakthroughs to Success and Protege Writer Speakers Workshop. So just as soon as I can resurrect that event, I will be doing that, and we will absolutely connect in ways we haven't connected. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm very inspired because last night when I went to bed, I had a real breakthrough myself. Or actually, it was this morning at 4 o'clock. I was reading this book. Now, there is a section in this book on attraction, and it really broke down the separation between, so let's just use the term attraction marketing versus persuasion marketing. Persuasion marketing, where you're paying for advertising. Attraction marketing for being able to, like the type of marketing that you do of customer service, where you're coming from value, you're coming from service, and you keep putting content out into the universe, and people are coming to you because of the person you are, the service you deliver, the value you continue to deliver, and people then buy from you, they stay your client. Stephen Brantley, good to see you, Stephen. Stephen hosted me in a giant church once in Houston. Stephen, you are the man. Good to see you here on this afternoon. Raphael, welcome to Facebook Live. Jay Johns, good to see you. Wojo, good to connect with you. So this book right here, The Map of Consciousness Explained. If you get a chance, someone read the section on attraction. Now, it is a section. It's not a chapter. Let me find it for you. The page. This book is game-changing. So it is in Chapter 5, The ABCs of Success. The ABCs of Success right there. Attraction. Attraction is step 5. So Hawkins, now this book was written after Hawkins died, so keep that in context. So Hawkins died in 2012. That book was published last year. So if you get a chance, read this book. This is a really elevated, this is a really advanced, this is Hawkins advanced. So you want to understand, if you buy that book, you want to have at least, if possible, at least skimmed Letting Go and Power versus Force. So simultaneously, Hawkins has 4 books that you can read. Now for me, I don't ever read anything else but Hawkins for the last several years because nothing stands up to Hawkins' content. I mean, I have thousands of books. I gave my wife one of my copies of Think and Grow Rich last night after I did the Mastermind Alliance. She's flying on the plane to Brazil. She's going to be in Brazil for 14 days, and she's going to read Think and Grow Rich. My wife is also starting to post on Parler, so if you want to follow her, feel free to do that. And I just want to know, just a moment of gratitude. Roger, good to see you. A moment of gratitude for all of you who have been my client and friends, brings tears to my eyes. So Raphael says, here at Raphael, it's called The Map of Consciousness Explained. But before I start the content today, a moment of gratitude from service and value to all of you for being my clients, my friends, patriots, compadres, people of influence, affluence, all of you in recovery, sobriety, thank you deeply, deeply, deeply. I know Scott Lucas is on the call or on the Facebook Live today in New York. A year ago this weekend, there's a picture of Scott and I where he's his hands on my shoulders. He gave me a chip for my sobriety, and also that picture I'll never forget. Dr. Duke, good to see you. So I want to make sure I acknowledge all of you on today's Facebook Live. Roger Maldonado, David Summerly, welcome. Roger is unequivocally a man of courage who has unequivocally been through the process. Lisa Faye Pazanza is one of my longest standing back-to-back clients. I've coached Lisa, it will be 7 years. Kayla, good to see you. Thank you all of you for being on today's Facebook Live. Let's move into the inspirational portion of today's Facebook Live. I chose rejection today as a topic because if you grow up in a family where you are traumatized, you're gaslighted, you're ghosted, you're violated, you're sexually abused, or you have parents who are actually good parents, but they're not emotionally available to, they abandon you. So that abandonment, they may provide that household for you. You actually believe that you had a good childhood, but you had no love. And so you were left to really fend for yourself. You become that kid who becomes the superstar kid, but you don't really receive that love that you require and or that you deserve. Michelle, good to see you on today's Facebook Live. So when you are in business, and if people don't buy from you, they don't join you, they don't acknowledge you, they don't get back with you, the lower self, the ego, can then feel rejected. When in reality, the people that aren't getting back with you, they aren't interested, they're overwhelmed, they didn't open the email, they didn't open whatever you sent them. They took one look at it and they blocked that email. Any multitude of situations, or you had a conversation with them and they promised to get back to you. They said they'd get back to you and they didn't. Well, it's going to be your responsibility to understand that they're not rejecting you, they're not interested in you. They told you what they thought you wanted to hear and they didn't follow up. So your body that runs the brain oftentimes feels rejected by the situation. Now, in the business of sales, branding, marketing, being an influencer, being an affluencer, being a coach, a success seeker, a network marketer, a direct salesperson, a real estate professional, a real estate investor, an insurance professional, or you are a wealth management strategist, or any multitude of situations, seldom if ever does anyone reject you. Real rejection comes when someone personalizes. They call you a name, they challenge you, you say the business you're in is a pyramid, or it's not lawful, legal, or something. They're crossing the line. But unless they're really taking it, they're giving you the heat and bringing it right to your face, seldom are you being rejected, physically rejected emotionally. Now, however, your body that runs the brain will create rejection to avoid perceived pain. So that becomes the story of rejection. And I don't want to be rejected. That's what the body that runs the brain says. Cassie, good to see you on today's Facebook Live. Magda, good to see you, Magda. I haven't seen you in a long time. Good to have you here. Andrew, Aaron, good to see you. My feelings are being... Now, Aaron, if you haven't followed Aaron Knight, I highly endorse Aaron. Aaron's a great content writer. He writes great content in the Facebook Lives. Marina Joy also writes great content in the Facebook Lives. And you should be following both Aaron and Marina. Aaron says, my feelings of being rejected, really, I equated to losing my implied force. Okay, so that's this is another Hawkins content. In the book Power versus Force, force has to have a counter force. So what's happening is your body actually is craving being rejected. I mean, even though this may sound challenging, it means if you were rejected or abandoned as a child. Now, rejection is the physical situation where you are physically rejected, or it's put right in your face that you are not good enough. And then you don't feel good enough. Or if you're not the golden boy or the golden girl, or you're not the special or the favorite child, and then you actually are feeling rejected. And so that will set you up to attract men and or women to fulfill your feelings of being rejected. And this is why so many of the relationships that you will go through will be dysfunctional, because you'll over-obligate, you'll enable, you'll do too much for others. To what you're seeking is love, but what your lower self is seeking is the feeling of being rejected and abandonment. Oh, and that's not stupid, that's not crazy, and that doesn't come from that. Does it make sense? This isn't about making sense. This is about understanding the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do. This is imperative. I mean, this is game-changing content, because sales is the highest paid profession in the world. It's imperative, and it's important that you understand the buying behaviors and habits of why people do and don't purchase. And so the more you understand how the American populace, Canadian populace, Australian populaces purchase products, goods, service, benefits, and features, why people buy on Black Fridays, why people buy around holidays, why people will buy a big screen TV, but they won't buy your wellness products. I mean, it's important you understand how addicted people are to shiny objects and the immediate gratification that the lower self gets by an instant gratification purchase. And the more you understand why people do what they do, and Casey said letting go is everything. Cassie says, I'm always letting go. Cassie always says, I'm resonating with his content. So Wojo says, I let go of people who thought were my friends for crossing the line, let go and let live. So I've been coaching Wojo on this as any of us move into a state of sobriety and recovery, there are going to be people in your circle of influence who are going to be threatened by that. I mean, I remember when I first started, I quit drinking, people go, you mean you never drink? Well, it was, I mean, I could appreciate where they're coming from because I was like the man when it came to alcohol. People would say to me, no one can drink him under the table. I was that martini drinker that was led to believe that I could drink 10, 12 martinis. Well, that's not really true. I mean, what would happen is I just black out. And I thought I could hold my liquor. Well, that wasn't really true either. I couldn't hold my liquor. I became a blackout drinker. I graduated all the way down the rabbit hole to where I couldn't go out. I became a closet drinker and an apartment drinker. I couldn't leave my house and drink because something bad would always happen. I also quit driving for a year because I kept getting arrested in DUIs. So obviously I had a driving problem, not a drinking problem. So as you move into recovery and sobriety, some people in your circle of influence become threatened and then they may say things about you. That would be a form of rejection, but you want to be clear that they're not rejecting you. They're intimidated by you and by your choices. And so it's going to be, once again, it's going to be your understanding to let people go who aren't in recovery because they're threatened by it. Now, that wasn't that difficult for me because I had moved completely on from all that. I wasn't even living in the state any longer, so it was easy for me to let go. And I didn't associate with the same people that I consistently associated with. So letting go is separating feelings from the events that shape them so that you are no longer the mind-body connection to those events that you hold on to. And as you begin to separate your feelings from the events, then you are no longer emotionally addicted to a set of feelings. And this is why it's important you begin to understand what rejection is and what rejection isn't. So even in relationships, if someone breaks up, so if they want to end the relationship, you want to do your best to separate it and don't put, they broke up with me. We are ending our relationship. The way you perceive it, the way you communicate with yourself about it, and someone that had an affair. They had an affair on me. They had an affair. It wasn't on you. They had an affair. And so when you can begin to separate that and understand what rejection is and isn't, so you're not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. This is how the separation is. So this is how you're able to separate your feelings from the events that shape them. This is what letting go is. So that letting go becomes a skill. So that when you're communicating and prospecting with people, or you're building a business, or you're in attraction marketing and people don't buy, you want to be able to separate yourself from the rejection component of it. So if they don't buy, what that means is they didn't buy. Now, one of the reasons they may not have bought is because you weren't effective in the presentation. That's a possibility. You may not have also asked for the commitment because of your own uncomfortability. And they also usually don't buy because they can't commit. They have objections. I don't have the money. I want to think about it. I'll get back to you. I want to do my research, or I want to speak to someone else. These are common commonalities when it comes to a non-committed buyer. So your objective is to be able to attract qualified buyers in whatever business or whatever life or qualified people to be your friends even, so that you don't feel rejected. Now, if you go into a meetup group or a meeting and you're uncomfortable and you telegraph it and you don't feel good about it and you're worried about the outcome, this happens in 12-step meetings all the time. I'll send someone to a 12-step meeting and they'll go, oh, I'm not like those people. I couldn't identify with them. Well, that understood because it was the attitude of how that was engaged and how it was entered that typically creates that outcome. As you begin to separate your feelings, as you let go, as you're not overwhelmed, as you're not worried about the outcome, then you're not in a mixed message. You're not telegraphing your feelings. So in consciousness, there's clarity. And in clarity, it means there's neutrality. In neutrality, there is a detachment so that you're not attached to the outcome. You will feel rejected if you're attached to the outcome. And then you'll wonder why the person didn't go on to the next date with you, or you'll wonder why the person cheated on you. You'll wonder why, you'll be wondering, which means you linger and you hold on. But as you start to become clear on this, as you let go, as you have a better understanding, as you're aware, then you're not the mind-body connection, meaning the events from the past don't have the same significance because you are letting them go. When you were letting go of the perpetrators and violators, when you practice forgiveness, when you were letting go of your father who would tell you he was going to show up on a Saturday and didn't show up. Now, this is a very, very common commonality, and it may have affected some of you. If you were a child of a divorce and you had a parent who was going to come on a Saturday or a weekend and didn't show up frequently, then that creates an expectation. That means the people that you trust, you can't depend on them. And so you'll attract your reality, people in situations to fulfill those feelings, people that you think you're going to have an intimate relationship, but you cannot trust them. And if you live in that state of not trust, then you really can't trust yourself, and you'll attract your reality, people and situations to fulfill your feelings that the body is neurochemically addicted to. And in this neurochemical addiction, you'll attract people frequently, and then the ego will say, this always happens to me. I knew this would happen. Then what you're really doing is you're virtually attracting the situation you don't want to have happen so you can fulfill the feeling that you're emotionally addicted to. Now, people who don't really understand recovery, neuroscience, that don't understand quantum physics, personal development, who don't understand the quantum field, have challenges with this because they go, that's crazy, that's insane, why would I want to do that? That's the payoff. Well, the ego creates a payoff to fulfill a feeling that it's emotionally addicted to. In the emotions of anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, and apathy, and pride, those are the emotions that we tend to attract to our reality. These are the emotions that we live in. So I in the last few days, I've been experienced a few moments of overwhelmed. I had relapses of headaches. I had my lumbar 4 was out. Even today, I was massaging the psoas muscle on the inside, on the IT band of my right leg, and then the L4 on my back hip, creating a release because of some of the anxieties. I was reading about Sidney Powell yesterday and the situation she was in with the state of Georgia, with the governor, or with the judge who wouldn't hear her case. And I was watching a video with her. I was actually watching the video, taking on some of the anxiety that I could feel she was feeling. I could feel her frustration, and I was in that energy of it too, just because that's what an empath does sometimes, is take it on. Now, then I woke up with a headache. I mean, these are situations. I have 33 years of sobriety, and no matter how many books I've read, how many events I've hosted, how many hours I've coached, I still occasionally relapse emotionally. Now, that does not mean I had a drink, I didn't have a pill, I didn't stuff my feelings with food, I didn't eat sugar, I didn't watch pornography, I didn't relapse on anorexia or bulimia or nicotine or marijuana, but I relapsed emotionally for a few moments and then began the let go process, because letting go is acceptance, it's recognition, it's metacognition, it's understanding, it's being aware of, it's knowing that whatever was going on, there was a familiar feeling of feeling violated, and that violation is going to have its roots and its origins, and there's a timeline and a chronology of when these events happen. So we repress events. Those are the events that we selectively forget, and then we suppress events. These are the ones that we recreate over and over to fulfill our feelings. There's another great book called Resetting Your Emotions by Dr. Devi, D-E-V-I, Nam, N-A-M, Budrapad. You can sound that out. Dr. Devi Nam Budrapad. And she's the pioneer that founded NATE, Nam Budrapad Allergy Elimination Technique. It's called NATE, and you can look that up on Google. You can Google N-A-T-E, and it will give you great insight on the emotional code that gets created. So the body actually creates allergies. So it can create a food allergy, it can create an allergy in the gut, you can create allergies in many ways in the body. So an allergy is more than just I'm allergic to hay fever or I'm allergic to pollen or something like this. Because you can virtually become allergic to a person, you become addicted to a person. If you had to cut the switch off of a tree, if you had to go out and get a branch off a tree, cut it off yourself, there's a high probability that you could pick up an allergy to the tree bark on that walk to and from because of the anxiety you're in about what's about to happen. Or you can be allergic to the dandelions, the grass. You can pick up a food allergy on the way. You can also become allergic to situations in your 50s and 60s because of situations. I know that some of the products in essential oils affect my face differently than they used to. I'm not in that point yet where I've broken that down, the cause that creates the effect, but I've also noticed that there's certain scents and situations that affect me more. Perfumes and situations like this, that my tolerance is different than it was previously. Now I'm in the process of having a better understanding of why I do what I do so I can separate my feelings from the events that shape them. So in addressing rejection, you want to be clear on what rejection is and isn't so that you can reshape the perception of rejection. So that if someone doesn't buy from you or someone doesn't follow through, even though they promised, even though they said they would, you don't want to turn that into the rejected me. You want to separate me from that, and they didn't. So if they didn't, you learn to accept that and let it go. So you are not the mind-body connection to the events from your past. Now, there's a high probability that you did experience rejection as a child, or you may have been traumatized on the playground, or you may have been singled out or picked on or picked last, or any multitude of situations. Or you may have had a teacher that beat you with a ruler, or all kinds of situations where you started flexing and flinching. Or you may have been one of those people who were beaten with a wooden spoon by a mother. There's a multitude of situations that can affect your feelings. So the more you understand the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do, then when you're engaging someone in business and they don't follow through, they don't buy, they don't commit, their word isn't law, whatever the situation is, then you don't personalize it. You can separate yourself because you understand that that's a cause and effect situation and that you're not responsible for them buying. You're responsible for your feelings, and you can separate your feelings from the outcome. That is detachment. And the better you get at this, then it'll allow you to be in the flow of business a lot more frequently. You're engaging with more and more people, and then you're not avoiding that situation because of the possibility of making a mistake, the possibility of being rejected, the possibility of saying the wrong thing, the possibility of them actually buying and you not being the leader. I've had people go, they've actually started to have a little bit of success, and they go, I'm not sure if I can handle this. Well, why? What do you mean handle it? It's not your. It means that your anxiety is about being responsible, and the more you let go of that anxiety of the outcome, then you're not the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. Now, Michelle is saying, wow, this is hitting home. Nikos is saying resetting emotions. Henry says NAET. That's right, Henry. That is Nambudrapad Allergy Elimination Technique. So for those of you who are on today's Facebook Live, thank you very much. This is letting go of rejection consciousness. So there is a consciousness about rejection that many people have. They hold on to it. They don't want to be rejected, and because they don't want to be rejected, they avoid being rejected. So it means that they avoid selling, they avoid contacting someone, they avoid sending the message, they avoid doing the presentation, they avoid going to a 12-step meeting, they avoid going to a meetup group, they avoid avoiding because they can't control the outcome. So what they do control is staying in control of being disappointed. Now, as you begin to let go, separate your feelings from the events that shape them. That's what letting go is. And as you move into the skill set of letting go, where you're always letting go, then that's no longer a story. It frees you up. It allows you to communicate with people, allows you to converse with people, allows you to qualify people for your time, and allows you not to overwhelm yourself with events that have not happened. If you're on this Facebook Live this afternoon and you've not accessed a free 20-minute coaching call, or you're a former client you'd like to re-engage with me to find out more about my coaching services, feel free to send me a message in Messenger. I will respond to you relatively quickly within 24 hours, and I will schedule a free 20-minute call with you. Now, today is Tuesday, so that means 2/4 Tuesday. That means that at midnight tonight, I will be hosting a 2 for Tuesday Facebook Live. That'll be midnight tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific. I live on the west coast of California, so I will be hosting a 9 p.m. Pacific Facebook Live tonight. Once again, this book, I've been endorsing this book for the last 60 days. This is a game-changing book. And if you didn't see it, it is called The Map of Consciousness Explained. David Hawkins, it is his newest book and is available on Amazon. I know that myself because that is where I purchased it. Jeffery Combs, President, Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. You have a great day.